Okay, guys, sorry about that. I hope that this looks better. I didn't realize that my stream was so poor. So, because I guess I was downloading, but then I stopped the download and then I couldn't get anything back. Let me see here. Hold on. Trying to find my own cell so I can. There we go. So I can see my quality. It's not super great, but it's better. Okay. Sorry if that was really disruptive. I just came on to celebrate a little bit of movement, a little bit of progress, a little bit of motion, and just to have a chat. I had a lot of interesting thoughts today. Um, what was it? So one of the nice things is I haven't been on social media at all. It's not like I'm watching videos. I mean, you've seen me on it here or there. I don't really post very often. I'm actually kind of a private person. And I how do I get back to it? Okay, there we go. And so I actually still surprised looking at the boxes because I haven't seen very many like spoilers or anything like that. So it was really actually kind of nice. A lot of the things were still brand spanking new to me. So that was really cool. Um, the Sacred Space crate for March was Earth themed, and that was really nice. I really love the smells. I really love working with the Earth element. And one of the tangents or the thoughts that occurred to me is also um, if I was to teach magic, which I kind of feel like the natural learning of magic is that you find subjects that interest you and you look into them, and as you look into them they spark interest in different subjects and you just go where your heart guides you, which is kind of what how I learned very young. I didn't have friends in real life or really a community. Um, but if I was going to say like here's some basic things that you should do before you jump off the deep end and like do a channel about influencing, I would say the very first thing would be grounding, centering, shielding. Um, really getting your safety, your personal physical safety under control, not just physical, your safety, your personal physical, spiritual safety, but also if you're raising energy and doing work, how you got to ground that energy or you're going to feel uh, you're going to feel unbalanced, you're going to feel off. So grounding, centering, shielding, basic protection, right? And then from there, I think the earth is probably a really good place to connect, to get outside, to touch it, to see it, to connect with all the spirits in the land and the plants and whatever around you. The spirits of your place, the spirits of your land, the spirits of your animals. And no matter where you live, there's plants and animals there. Um, and then build on whatever interests you from there. But really, Earth is an excellent way to also for the fundamentals of grounding, centering, and shielding, but also for appreciating and recognizing the actual turning of the wheel, the actual wheel of the year, which is not at all like I don't think of it in Wiccan terms anymore. I think of like the natural cycle of life in this place where I'm living. Like it hardly ever matches up to the Sabbats. Um, so I kind of like to play a game with myself as to kind of I know I mark time. There's an actual word. I think it's called phrenology, but I'm not sure. Or phenology, where you mark the passing of time or the changing of seasons by specific markers in the wild. So when my plum tree blooms, I know that is spring when my plum tree blooms. And then when I get roses around Mother's Day, the lilacs will be around May Day. You know, then when am I going to harvest garlic? When are we going to start to get peaches? Peaches is usually August, strawberries are June, so on and so forth. And then you really have better appreciation for the passing of the seasons of your life when you can connect it to the ebb and flow where you live. Um, so that was one thought. I'd like to expound upon that. I would really um, love to talk about that in a Zoom or something. I still got to get that set up. Yep, phenology. That's exactly it. And people have been doing it for millennia. It's a super witty thing to do. So many people consider mundane, but I recommend it because it helps you connect with your land, with the spirits of the things that live around you, where all of your, in my opinion, all of the oomph behind your work comes from these allies that you collect to help you move things. And especially things that you nurtured, right? Let's say, for example, you live in an apartment in the city, skyrise in New York. You can still grow a herb, probably basil. Basil's pretty easy. Mint is really hard to kill once it gets set up. Get yourself an herb, grow it, love it, give it of yourself, right? And when you use parts of it, it's that much stronger because you guys have, you're not just using the energy of this specific herb for what it's used, but you also have a relationship with the spirit of this specific plant, which will give you more, right? You made a deal with it, you loved it, you cared for it, you put your energy into it, and now it's going to give you the best that it has to give, and maybe in a very specific way for you or your situation. That's one of the really important things, right? We have rose bushes all in the front yard, right? And I hated roses. I've had a big conversion about roses, but Bet, my husband, nurtured these, loved these, pruned these, raised these. And when he picks one for me and brings it to me, I don't know. It sounds corny, but I can feel that it loves him too. And that is trying to give the best of itself to me and because of him, right? So another way that that works is that it's also 6 foot tall rose bush right next to my front door with spikes about yay big. And so roses are not just about love, but they're also really good. All brambles are really, really good for protection. I love you, I care for you, and you care for me, right? That's the kind of relationship. I'm not saying that every relationship has to be an exchange, but every relationship is an exchange for better or for worse. You're exchanging feelings, you're exchanging energy. And one of the best things for my practice and observing how actual, I believe, practice looked like ancient and historically and ancestor wise. People, I believe, connected with the land and worked with it through that is all of the small things that we take for granted. So, like my husband caring for everything on our property is him putting his love into our land, into the land, into our animals, into our plants, into our area, into our home. And all of those things get stronger because of it. Your house will give you back what you feed it, right? If you feed your house misery and pain, it's going to be a terrible, dark, claustrophobic place. You take care of your house, if you talk nice to your house, you maintain your house, if you love your house and you say so, then you fill the house with your love. And I really thought about that a lot because, like, my grandparents were really poor and they had a little trailer. Um, and they filled it with so much love and hope and resourcefulness and and just food and holidays. And I mean, there's drama too. Oh my God, we're Puerto Rican. But just my one of my favorite places in the whole world was my grandparents' house. My grandparents have passed away many years, almost 20 for my papa. And the people who live there now don't feed it that love. And it almost feels like something has died. Because over time, all that good feelings drains away. You gotta feed it constantly, right? You can't have a plant live on for 20 years with nothing. They need something. And the last time that I went, I knew on some level. I remember talking to my husband, like how, and we had this conversation about houses give you what you feed them. And it was like, even now, I'm so sad. I'm pregnant, so everything makes me cry. But it's such a grievously sad thing in my heart to know that something that was so loved and so much work and heart and spirit and energy went into is dead. And it goes back to love is work, right? This is all work. We want to think that it's easy, that we're naturally talented, that this is all going to flow, and to a certain extent it does, but don't ever forget that it's work, that it's exchange, that it's energy, it's intention, it's love, it's your words, it's your actions. And and then you think what you're going to leave behind for yourself, right? Is this house going to bring my son those feelings that I felt about my grandparents' house? Because I can still feel Christmas like a bright fucking candle in my heart at my grandparents' house. And like my grandparents had one of those little plastic trees. The day after Thanksgiving, my papa would pull the box out and my abuelita would assemble it. And it was like these plastic and wires that you kind of clipped into place. And in retrospect, as an adult, if I saw a tree like that, I'd be like, what is this shit? This Charlie Brown tree. But I never had that thought as a kid or a teen at my grandparents' house with their beautiful magic tree. Their little plastic Kmart tree. It was so beautiful. And it was absolutely covered with every little old fashioned ornament you could think of, those little those little ornament balls with a string around them. And so once the string started breaking, it was just styrofoam. But they were so pretty, and tinsel and garlands and lights, so many lights. One of my I'm such a nerd. One of my favorite things as a kid was unraveling the Christmas lights, and then my papa would try and find where the broken light was and fix it. And it's just like sometimes we take for granted the things that were given to us, that love, that memory, that experience. Christmas is hard work. The only reason that Christmas is what it is in my house is because my husband just runs with it. Just works so fucking hard. Granted, I'll cook. I want to feed the people. I want to feed everybody and make sure that they have full bellies and lots of gifts. But my husband wants it to look like Christmas. He wants it to like feel like Christmas on this different level that's just not my vibe, but I'm so grateful for him. But it does remind me of growing up and what all of they put into that beauty. And then we would get the Toys R Us catalog, and my grandparents would let us look at it. We'd have, our pens, and we'd circle the things that we wanted, or the J.C. Penney's catalog. Just your house will give you what you feed it. that was the long story short. And that's so important, guys. And you gotta, you don't have to do whatever you want. But if you want to reap those things, if you want to give those things to your children, you gotta feed your house. Yeah, exactly. I love that. I want my house to feel that way, but I also want to think like about the conscious effort. Um oh, cool. I mean, I don't my son has already started telling me for you know, at least the last month or two, Mama, I'm asking Santa for a VR headset. Okay, thank you for telling me. I, he's like, I know I'm going to get it. I was like, don't you know you have to be good? And he's like, I am good. And I'm like, let's talk about it. So it's kind of fun. I would like that too, but yes, the paintings catalog. So that was one of my thoughts. Your house, I really want to talk back about that. We're going to talk about that a lot on the show. Where you live and your things and your land and your plants and your animals and your crystals and everything you have will give you back what you feed it. That's the nature of the exchange. So that was one thing. What was the next box that I did? I think I did the witch's moon. Let me look. I think I have to upload them again. Yes, the witch's moon. What was the theme? Oh, wind chimes. Okay, so that brought me to another really excellent point that kind of comes along with this house. And I didn't mean for this to turn into a lecture, but here we are, right? I've got my pineapples and chamoy, and we're rolling with it. Before we go on to the next point, I want to be absolutely clear that it wasn't always good times, right? It's not always going to be good times in your house. It's not always going to be good times in your land with climate change. You guys already know about the fire. It's not always going to be a good time. I'm not telling you that. That is not true. That's not real life. That's not what our ancestors did. Our ancestors suffered and lived by the land. I'm just because I'm pregnant and it sounded absolutely delicious. But yeah, pineapple's where it's at in the summer. But so don't think that, oh, if I have an argument, oh, if I have depression in my house. No, that's not what I mean. I mean maintenance, cleaning, care, talking nicely about your house, appreciating it and setting so. Oh, I love my stove. Oh, my little kitchen. Oh, this is my favorite thing. Oh, my bed. My favorite thing about traveling is coming home to my bed. Oh, yeah, Leanne, I announced it at the last one. Yes. Oh, we're having a little boy. Mommy had wanted a girl so that I can be done having babies. But apparently, I'm a boy mom. Yep, exactly. My garden has been neglected. I really got to go out there. But again, sick for 10 days, man. Um, so nobody's saying that you're going to be perfect. Get that shit out of your head. Our ancestors weren't perfect. Witchcraft isn't perfect. Those bullshit accounts you see on the Instagrams or whatever, they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But when you're done feeling sad or having an argument or, you know, open the windows, let that shit out. Tidy up the best you can. I'm so happy you're here, house. I'm so grateful for a roof over my head. I love you so much, bed. Oh, thank you, Stowe. Perfect dinner. Just those kind of things, I really think goes a long way. But even just spending happy, quiet time there. I like to sit and chop vegetables, and I feel like it. Yay! Hi, Liberians. I feel like it feels okay. Chopping vegetables ends up being a spiritual experience for me because I can feel my ancestors, and I know it's going to be different for everybody. But for me, I can feel them with me. I am doing something that most everybody who has ever loved me and whose blood flows through my veins has done a bazillion times before, and many a time I have sat with them while they've done it. And it brings me right back there. And it's just so natural and so easy to connect. I'm making food for my family the same way my papa, my abuela, and my mom, and everybody before them made for me. And we're all in the same space at the same time together doing it. Chopping vegetables. But even like at Christmas, we were cooking a Puerto Rican feast at a Puerto Rican party. We made all of our favorite foods, and the kitchen was so full of loud noises, cooking, smells, familiar, happy music, and that feeds your house too. That feeds your kitchen. That fills the cup. And it's easier to pull that back to yourself when you're feeling low, when you're feeling weak, when you're feeling need. You can pull it back to yourself too. It's a reservoir. You can pull it dry, but you can fill it up. I know my son and my husband are both like hallelujah boy. I'm just like I'm very happy because he can hear me. I'm very happy, but I had hope to be done. So we'll see how this goes. Next thought. So we the witch's moon from March. The main item was a wind chime, right? And the theme was wind. Wind is something that initially wasn't my jam, but then when I started really thinking about it, it's because the way that I tend to use wind, except for dandelion, look and wish, right? Breath of life is, which is weird because I think gift wise, I'm an excellent communicator. So that's also earth element, right? Or the air element, excuse me. But I started talking about, and of course my camera died. So I'm going to tell you my thoughts in here. And if any of this sounds like good information that you would like me to have a further class or for our Zoom that's coming up, I promise at some point I will get to it. Write these down or send me comments about like, hey, I really like this talk about this topic. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about whatever's on my heart and it is what it is. But I think that's also how we learn, how we exchange ideas, how we maybe you pick something up today that resonates with you, maybe you don't. That's it. But it is fulfilling for me, and that's why I make this channel. So I got to thinking about wind chimes, and wind chimes are excellent protection magic. They're excellent repelling magic. They're excellent energy clearing. Really, really good, easy work. You hang the wind chimes up. The chimes scare away bad energy, scare away demons, repel negativity, you know, musical notes, I believe, create good energy and good vibration, but they also banish bad things. Bad things don't like beautiful noise, cacophony. They don't like it. So your wind chimes are really nice to your property to keep bad things away from you. To not just your house, your little porch, your window, whatever you want to do with it. It's excellent. Let's say you don't have the capacity to put a wind chime, you literally have no outside space. Bells on your door are excellent. Keep bad things out. The ruckus when you open the door. Bells, chimes. But the most thing that I use is my voice, and usually prayer. But sometimes if I think uh, like there's a bad energy, I will just straight up say forcefully, no, get out, get out, get the fuck out. And then you can make a cacophony, and that will clear bad things out of your house. Um, you know, the same way that we would use smoke or candle and incense, a sage. Um, Sound can be used in that way too. Bells, claps, your voice, singing, praying, or just firmly being like, no, this is my house. Get out, get out, get out, get out. You want to have your windows open because you're telling something to get out. You don't have no exit. it's just gonna run around with you. That's not, you don't want to. Yeah, cacophony. I think that's how you spell it. Um, just like a excess of just noise. When I see the 5 of wands, I think of like this huge fucking fight where everybody's just talking over each other, a cacophony. Like, wow, all the fives are just like some kind of loud, angry conflict, and whatever suit it is a different family how they fight. That's just how I think of the fives in tarot, right? And maybe you guys think of it anyway, but every 5 card to me is just like some kind of conflict, and it's just loud, and especially the 5 of wands. So the 5 of wands is just a New Jersey family going at it. Just like, your mother's cabbage. No, you gonna talk about my mother? Just like, cacophony. That's or when my husband feeds the birds in the morning and everybody's excited screeching. That's also a cacophony of sound. um. So, anyways, that's what I was thinking about. How the earth element for me particularly is sound, um, and speech, and communication, and written word and writing. And it's always been hard for me to wrap my head around how I connect with um, with air, which is ironic because that's my strongest personal skill is communication. I'm a good nurse because I retain a lot of knowledge, which again I think is still the element of air, but also because I feel like I'm exceptional at communicating and educating and advocating. Um, yes, I know, chaos. Oh, fives are chaotic. um, because when we think about, a lot of us, at least for me, when I think about the elements and then my practice, I have fire, I burn things, candles, incense, which incense is also air. When I think of water, I love to bathe. I love to bathe. The rain washes you clean. Um, just, drinking, hydrating. You think about water in those terms. Earth, oh, and water. You put your feet in the ocean, and Moya will take your grief. Um, Earth is a lot like that, connecting with the earth, touching the earth. You know, that's probably my most done ritual is grounding, and I connect to the earth like I have roots, and she feeds me energy, and I give her all of my waste, and she transmutes that into new things, right? So I always like, I don't like wind. I don't like wind, especially after the fire. There's a trauma element with wind, but it's not about wind, right? It's about those things that we categorize in the element of air, your breath of life, your speech, sounds. So, hello. So that was one of the thoughts. These are all topics that I'd like to talk about because I'm trying to connect more in the mundane way. What does magic look like every day of our lives? What is and the good news is most of it is cheap or free, right? And natural, and something that you might already be doing that you give yourself no credit for, and you're like, oh, I'm so disconnected from my practice. Oh, I don't make time to do this. Well, that you probably had 15 superstitions, rituals, or habits today that you don't give yourself credit for that are literally creating your reality. That's still magic. You got this. Don't judge yourself by what you're seeing people say is work, is the work, is the craft, is whatever. It looks different for all of us. And especially for our ancestors, I don't think that it looked like the way that we imagine it. Yeah. It looked like regular things that we do every day done with a different intention. And I'm sure if you think back to how you were raised, or to different things, there was always superstitions and rituals and traditions and ways that things were done, and they had so much power because that's how they were done. And so many people have put so much into this thought form, into this creation, into this thought process, that it's a magical thing in and of itself, right? Yes, exactly, Laverius. And that's which is funny because I'm a smart person. Like, not tooting my own horn, but that's literally how I identified myself since I was a kid. Book smart, right? Not so much common sense. That's harder, isn't it? But like, I can retain what I read, I can memorize really well. I speak like nonstop. My son now, he does it too. Oh my God. It's karma. I tell you what, because he just stream of consciousness talks. And I got to be real careful to not push that spirit because sometimes I just want to be quiet. Please, God, can we be quiet? But he has so much to say. um, but I really like having these conversations where we think about just how the elements present in our actual everyday lives, not just what we, because we get confused, right? We look at our beautiful books and our beautiful charts and our little memes on the Instagram, or our infographics. And it's like when you make your altar, these are things that could represent air. But then you start to think about those things as air, and then you get disconnected. Like feathers are air, and insects is air, and smoke is air, and this is all air. And you're like, but how do I use those things in my day-to-day life? Like, how am I using air as a conduit for my manifestation, for my spirit, for my life? And you forget that you use it all the time because you talk and you write and you read and you sing and you make noises and you listen to chimes and music and a million other things, breeze, breath, all of it. And when you start to think that way, you feel more connected to your practice and to the energy that's actually existing all around you, right? So, air, excellent topic, because I had a really hard time connecting with air because I thought I had to connect in this specific way. You don't have to do that. You can sing, pray, affirmation, breath work, breathing exercise, guided meditation, light an incense, smudge. I like to, on very windy days, imagine that the wind is blowing through me and taking away negativity. Dandelion wishes, writing exercise, reading exercises, speaking exercises, um, correspondent exercises, just so many air activities that you could totally connect with, that's just free and easy and available to you all the time, that you're probably already doing. um okay, so that was the wind chime thought. I got one more piece. I'm eating pineapple with chamoy because that's my pregnancy craving. Thank you. mm. I unboxed the Witch's Bounty for March, just scarab, when I was a kid. I loved Egyptian mythology. I did projects on Egyptian mythology. I read every book I could. I've kind of outgrown that. Although I do see the parallels between Isis and Horus and Mary and Jesus Christ. It's really interesting. One of my favorites. Yep. That's nice. That's wonderful. Um, but that's also part of our growth, right? There's no shame in saying, this is where I am. This is what I like now. This is what I liked in the past. This, God only knows where I will be in the future. And we're always learning, and we're never really an expert. I mean, yeah, to me, you have to dedicate like a significant portion of your life to being an expert. I mean, I hope to be an expert at healing, you know, at the end of my life, and I certainly have dedicated thousands of hours to it at this juncture. There's always something else to heal. People are so infinitely complex. I will never master every aspect of healing, right? And then the last box was the Witch's Mystery Box, which I actually definitely bought too. So it had books in it. Some books I already owned. Some Book of Shadows pages that I'm really excited to go through. But it didn't really spark too many new ideas in me. Those are my main ideas about home and about energy flow and about mundane magic and craft positivity and making magic in your everyday life and feeling connected to your craft and your power and your spirit in whatever way feels the most natural and honest to you. And for me, it's trying to live intentionally um, with the heavy uh, basis of ancestral veneration, ancestral work, and work with nature and land spirits. Um, yeah, and that I would love to have a topic. I think that would be really nice for one of our Zooms to talk about. Like, hey, what would you say the basis of your craft is? And then we can all kind of flesh that out. Um, really heavy, important seasons for me tend to be fall and spring. And it's typically because that's when the veil is thinnest and ancestral veneration is like super important for my practice, super important for my family, for our household. Um, and something that I talk about constantly, right? And it's always going to look different for each of us. But for me, it's about gratitude and strength and appreciation and just I had a wonderful talk. Not wonderful, it was a little painful with my mother about my grandparents and just like we had a situation not between us but like a situation and it brought up different family members and just the way that we think about the past pulls it into the present, right? That's how we achieve immortality. My papa is dead, but in a lot of ways he's just as close to me as ever. Thank you, Z. Thank you. And when we talk about him, it's like a part of him is always in me, in my blood, in my DNA. But like he's in the room with me. And what were we talking about, Papa? He's so resourceful. He was so resourceful. He was so clever. He was so like he was always making moves and having plans and just really so much. So presence, such big. Not always, everybody has their bad moments. I'm not going to say that. He's not a saint. But like we were talking about that part of him. We were talking my grandmother too, like her fierceness. Man, if there's one thing my grandmother, she was fucking fierce. And sometimes a double-edged sword fierce, right? Sometimes cruel. Not usually to me, almost never to me, but you know how people have your experience in your family is very unique. And it's not the same as anybody else's experience because we always treat everybody differently, even though we try not to, right? So I was a first grandchild, favorite, and she treated me better than anybody. So my perception of her will alter dramatically from my mom's or my other siblings even, because they don't really know her, right? She didn't speak any English. So my siblings also didn't speak Spanish. It's just, I mean, for me, ancestral veneration is where it's at. I've never felt more powerful and more connected. But for you, it might be something else. And I hope you find that thing that makes you feel so alive. Oh, that's cool, Z. Happy birthday. I hope to get through April's boxes tomorrow. I hope to have, so Mondays was going to be divination, and I have already 5 loaded videos for decks. And I have some decks that I haven't even gone through. So stay tuned for that. At least one of them will be coming up tonight. I have a lot of really beautiful decks. And then on some of our chats, I think we'll have like maybe some voting about like, hey, let's talk about which of these decks, because I categorize decks as like, these are my animal decks, these are my astrology decks, these are my herb decks, these are my ancestors. So like that might be a really interesting topic, and how you guys categorize. Hi, farm girl. How you guys categorize your decks if you collect. So I hope to get through the April boxes tomorrow. I have them stacked. Boop, boop, boop. Right there. And keep sorting through what I have to get all these videos uploaded. I have about 9 videos already filmed. I just need to upload and schedule them. Mondays will be divination talks. Wednesdays will be book reviews. I don't have any book reviews lined up yet because I haven't started reading a book, but I am going to. And basically every day is going to be another video unboxing until I get caught up. So, oh, wow. I haven't opened it yet. It's literally right there. This is my June and July boxes. So one stack is June and one stack is July. Yes. And then so there was going to be a witchy yard sale. I need to have everything done and shipped by August 2nd. So I'm going to keep you guys posted. Obviously, go through and sort everything. And then I won't do it again until November. But I will ramp you guys up, and because our crystal in my area, their crystal expo is in November, and so it'll be more crystals, it'll be more books, it'll be more decks, it'll be my herbs for the season, there'll be some animal bones, it'll be more things that I source, as opposed to like reselling things that I just have too much of, right? And so just FYI, in case you haven't seen my more recent lives, I have paused my subscription boxes until I get this under control. I am literally 20 some odd packages behind. And so I just can't keep doing that, right? And also, like one of the reasons I've shifting focus on my channel, because I've shifted focus as a person, and a lot of it, well, I love and I recommend when you're building up your apothecary, when you're building up your tool set, when you're still trying to find where your niche is, for a special treat. Definitely. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely 100% recommend. And if I was to go back to the one subscription box I probably want to keep is my herb one, because I love the artwork. Yes, and I have all of your stuff for Liberius and Dakota. I still have all the things that I have it set aside for you. I have not sold it to anybody else or moved it even. It's still literally stacked right across from me. That way we can just do one shipment and it'll be great. And I love them too. I love the Witch's Moon. I love Sugar Muses. I love Sacred Space Crate. I love the Witch's Box. I love them. I probably still get, a mystery box here. I probably still collect the artwork from Witch's Moon and just buy them off the moon market. It's more expensive, but I got to be more particular about what I'm collecting. But also, guys, I have a much better understanding of how I like to practice and what I believe in spiritually than I have in the past when I was just like, hey, I have money now. I can kind of experiment, right? Which has been wonderful. I love it. At the same time, I don't use as much of it as I would like because my spiritual practice ends up being really practical. I do candle work. I have made tinctures. I love sachets and crystals. But I really don't do runes. I really don't do cartomancy. I really, don't do a lot of things that other people do, but also I really don't identify as Wiccan, and I really don't worship a wide variety of pantheons. So it's been a wonderful journey. I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying I'm cutting back. And kind of trying to do more educational stuff, which we've already talked about. I'm just beating a dead horse. I just don't want you guys to be like, Brandy's jumping shark. I'm not jumping shark. I'm growing older and changing my views and my practice and my mood. And oh, that's good, Z. And as you all will, we all are, we all will. I've been doing this for 3+ years, and I'm sure things have changed for you guys. And what I want to focus on is education and building community. Sorry, I had a really bad fever, and so my lips are just awful. Because I was sick since the last time. Have you check out Box of Shadows? No, I'm not getting any new boxes right now. I don't think I've ever checked out Box of Shadows. But one of the things that I am going to do with this break is show you guys, because I saw a really famous witch influencer making fun of people who get subscription boxes. Not like making fun like cruel, but just kind of like poking fun, like, where do you put all this shit? And what do you do with it? And all this other stuff. And exactly, Liberius. Exactly. Hello. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I do believe that influencers on the social medias have to be really careful, because a lot of the shit comes out really alienating and making people feel like their practice or their desires or their wants or their habits are wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with stuff. There's none of that. Don't listen to any of that bullshit. Whatever. But for those of you who actually follow my channel, might be actually curious what I have. How do I store all those Book of Shadow art? How do I use this deck? What's a candle spell that I like to use? That kind of information I absolutely want to share with you guys. And that is something that's upcoming. So like the conversation we had about your home, about earth and air element, about how those things show up in our regular life. I wasn't born knowing that. I had to think about that. I had to work on that. I had to really cut the fat and get to the meat and bones of my practice and see, like, what am I actually doing here, and why am I doing that thing, and why is it important? Because when I got my first book, one of the first books was Solitary Witch, right? And it's just like, oh, you're gonna call the corners and you're gonna do this and you're gonna go in this direction, and I don't do that shit. Hardly ever, very rarely, and usually only if I'm handing somebody's ass to them am I very careful and particular about my circle, so that I keep the energy very tight and it doesn't taint my house, but also so that I keep myself protected so that shit doesn't bite me too, right? But for the most part, I'm not casting a circle. I don't need to. I can focus my energy at this juncture in my practice. Fine. I only do it in excess of caution. But why would we do that? Why we need to talk about We don't need to, but it's nice to talk about, why am I doing the thing? Or why did they say I need to do the thing? Or why are people saying this is the correct way to do the thing? Of course, yes. But at the same time, this same person is selling a book, right? And they, also advertise for their friends' books and their friends' products and their friends' courses and this and that and the other and this product that their friend makes. So that, for an influencer, it's a particularly fine line, because you can't have it both ways, right? You cannot have it both ways. You can't say materialism is bad, but buy my book and also my friend's stuff, and my friend makes these candles, and also this other friend makes these mugs. And so, like, just so you know, you can buy all this too. That's not fair. And this particular influencer, I like them. I don't follow them because I've actually cut down to following next to nobody. Some very key people that I highly recommend for you. It's like Lady Althea is excellent. I paid a whole shit ton of money to have her read me for my birthday, but she is worth it. There's Celestial Bruja, which I'm also going to get a solar return reading from her. I love the Fascinating Fairies, Quantum Hypnosis. I have had some experiences. Oh my God. There's lots of excellent work out there, right? But we spend too much time saying, you're not doing it right, or you should be doing this, or that's not what a real witch does. Bitch, no. 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 I reject you. I rebuke you. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to take people who are already lost and vulnerable, and because it's a rough world out there. Why the fuck would I make you feel bad about your connection to spirit? However you connect to spirit, by all means do it. Let's not kill any babies, and try not to sexually assault people. But otherwise, maybe I'll just mind my fucking business. How about that? We get into shades of ethic responsibility, but that's not what we're talking here. We always have broad strokes and we never have nuance. We're not going to do that. Everybody likes to judge everybody, honey. I promise you. And people think that in the witchcraft community, it's going to be so much better than Christianity. No, they are terrible, judgy people. They're the same terrible, judgy people that were Christians before, and they're now witches, and they're judging your new shit. Don't buy into the hype. You are enough. You're probably doing tons of magical shit every day, and it's not your fault or anybody else's fault if you don't feel connected. It's because you a lot of the time there's just so many barriers to actual physical survival that you're surviving. You're doing the best you can. Not every day is going to be a magical fucking epiphany. Some days you're awesome because you got up, you did what you had to do today. You didn't hit nobody, kill nobody. You fed somebody, probably yourself, hopefully, and you made it through the day, and tomorrow will be better. Let's not tear people down. Let's not just talk about random shit to talk. I want to give you things that maybe, oh, I do that. Or maybe that's a good idea. I want to do that. Something. I want to fill your cup. I want to give you more than I'm taking from you. And I hope I'm not taking much. I hope you don't walk away from these conversations feeling like shit or doubting yourself. I really hope not. That is not my intention. And call me out. Call me out. I've got to go. I love chatting with you guys. I'm gonna try and. I know, Liberius. I'm sure you see a lot in the community. Liberius, I need to ask you. I wanted to get a reading and pay for it from you, but I gotta go into I'll go into your page. Don't worry. Now that I see that you're doing that. Because again, I'm not really on the social medias because I get really distressed by how hypocritical and nasty and performative people are. Like, there is so much bad in the world. Please, God, don't do that. Don't do that to your brothers and sisters in the dust. The biggest conniving shit, those powers that be, and this is not conspiracy shit, this is a fucking fact. The biggest thing that they want to do is convince you that the problem is your brother in the dust, your sister in the dust, other people who are poor or middle class or just regular fucking people like you. They got us mind tricked into thinking that that's your fucking enemy, that that's the problem. It's never your brother or sister. I promise you. There is no way that your broke ass neighbor watching Fox News is making policy. Okay? That's a myth. They're just comfortable. They have whatever it is going. It speaks to them in a way that they understand. Whatever. Should they hate anybody? Absolutely not. But are they the actual problem in our society? I promise you. It's rich people with money who are selling you things, who are making you feel bad, who are making you sick, and who are limiting access to resources so that we all think that it's somebody else's fucking fault, but never the right person's, right? Don't do that. Don't get so confused that you turn against your brother and sister, because if society were to collapse, that's it. There's only your neighbors. There's only your people that you physically know. There's only regular good people every day who are going to make it or break it, right? We have to be so careful about saying, like, if you don't think this, then don't follow my page. By all means, that is if that's good for your mental health to do that, then by all means. But you cannot tell people that they cannot be something because of something they believe. They cannot do something because of something they believe. They cannot exist somewhere. They cannot build community. You don't ever build connection by alienating. We will never find common ground if the first thing you do is shut somebody the fuck out because you don't think the same way. We have more in common than we could ever have differences. I promise you. I promise you. We want the same things. We want safety and freedom and education and healthcare and food and love and comfort. Everybody wants those things. Exactly. Exactly. We always blame the little guy. Oh, you're using a straw. You must not care about the environment. Did you know that the number one pollutant is textiles? I mean, not even that. Why don't you talk to a corporation about what they're doing to the environment? How about that? Your neighbor or the person at Starbucks getting a fucking straw isn't single-handedly causing global warming. Hold businesses accountable, hold corporations accountable, hold companies and your government accountable. How about you vote? How about you vote? If you don't like the way things are, vote. Educate yourself, educate other people, volunteer, donate, help. Everything you do, I promise, will create a ripple effect. Because even if somebody hates you, and by the way, I work at a low-income clinic and I'm Latina. There's a lot of racist people in Oregon. But every time that I treat you well and I'm kind to you and I educate you and you have a good experience with me, that plants a seed in your heart. Maybe not all Latino people are garbage. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. And that's a really hard thing to do in a hostile environment. Healing is hard in general, and fixing your generational trauma and the shit you were taught as a kid is hard. And imagine being absolutely vilified for something you never knew was wrong until all of a sudden you know that it's wrong. I have never swayed anybody by shaming them. I have never swayed anybody by shaming them. I have never changed hearts or minds. Yep, exactly, Mama. I have never convinced a person to get vaccinated through shame. I have never changed a racist person's mind through shame. I have set a boundary where it's like, we're not going to talk like that. We're not going to do that. If you can't talk to me nicely, you cannot be here. And we have had those conversations before too. And sometimes it doesn't work. I'm not going to say that I'm successful every time, but I'm going to say my life that I have never changed anybody's mind by being mean to them or cruel or arrogant or self-righteous. It doesn't work. We aren't getting what we want. We won't make traction. We won't make a better world for our kids. We have to stop. We have to say, okay, all vaccines are evil and they're poison. And I work for Big Pharma. Why are you here? That's the first thing. What do you want? How can we, what can we do? And we talk about fears, and then we get to the real root of the problem, because 90% of the time there's an actual secret agenda, right? There's a secret thought. There's a thing. And if we can find some kind of common ground, we can move forward. So let's build a community where we say, I know that we're more alike than we are different. And as long as you're not going to come at me and be like gross and disrespectful, then we can have a conversation where we can see what that looks like in real life, in real time. And that's really what's going to change our communities and what's going to change the world. How can we find this common ground? How can we meet in the middle? How can we say, hey, I really absolutely 110% believe that you should be able to practice your religion the way that you were raised to do so. And I hope that you feel the same way about me. And so let's see how we can make that happen for both of us and have conversations about what does that look like. But what it comes down to almost always is we need better education, we need better healthcare, and we have to work on poverty. If we did those three things, violence would go down and things would get better. But we always bypass those things because we want quick answers. But there's no quick answers for raising people. There's no quick answers for changing communities, for navigating society. It's no quick fix. You have to, communities give it what you feed it. Just like our houses, right? Your government, your country, your neighbors, your kids, whatever you give to them, they're going to give you back. That's how they're going to grow. That's what they're going to use as a frame of reference for reality and for life. It's hard, but we can do it. We can do it, and it's going to be okay. Even if this is the one space in the whole world where you can walk away with something that makes you feel better, that opens your mind, that maybe rubs you the wrong way. And you sit and think to yourself, I don't like that comment that they made. But then the next step is, why? Why? What is rubbing me wrong? And when I started doing that, I started to get to the actual problems in my own thinking that were affecting how I perceive reality, right? It's hard. It's all shadow work, right? That's what really is shadow work. Looking at yourself and seeing your own shit and owning it and saying, life is hard, or my life sucks, or I'm really unhappy here. And then I try to say to myself, what part have I played in this? What is mine? What did I contribute to this situation? And then I try to go from there. Or is every problem in the world your problem? No. There's a world's worth of problems. You don't have to take them all. Please don't. Just take what's yours. And that'll be enough. When you heal yourself, you heal your ancestors, you heal your children, your descendants, your progeny. And every healed person is a better community. So we can do this. That's what it really comes down. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what you practice. But when you heal yourself, when you heal your family, when you break those generational curses, when you build and plant better for the children, for the future, you make the world better and you live forever. So that got weird and heavy, and I love you guys. I'm gonna upload some videos. I'm gonna unbox some stuff tomorrow, and maybe if I have time, I would love to chat again about what insights I had for the day. My mom and I, oh, sorry, Sachi. It was actually, I had a lot of interesting stuff. My mom and I have been having really, really, like, they're regular conversations, but then I go and I think about them or I dream about them. And I have been thinking a lot about feeding things, but also the nature and quality of time. And it's been nice because your memory and the past are really powerful. Like, okay, so hear me out. I'm going to go off on a brief tangent before I leave. There's a song called Testify by Rage Against the Machine. If you don't listen to Rage Against the Machine, you're missing out. They're angry, but you should be. Shit's not going well. But he says, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. And it's true, because think about how history is written by the victor. And I challenge a lot of us to actually look at the past and see. There should be, Leanne. Yeah, I don't usually delete my lives. Look at the past and see what is true. I mean, there's a lot of things society-wise that is not true, that we think it's true, and it's just bullshit. Like, and that's because, history is written by the victor. But even in your own past, in your own life, in your own memory, in your own history, thinking about those things really helps you define who you are and what's important, right? And that's one of the best things that I've been thinking about lately. I think about my grandparents' house and how they were and who they were and what energy they put into their space, and how as a child it meant so much to me and what it was that meant so much to me, right? And then, like I said, everybody will have a different memory. And so my mom and mine's recollection of both of my grandparents is always changed by how they treated us, and all the history. Obviously, she has far more history with them growing up as their child, whereas I was the grandchild. I was the first grandchild, and it was a favorite, and I was spoiled, and I was the only one who could speak Spanish. So probably things are a lot more golden for me because of all that love that they showered me with. Just, I had a conversation with my father-in-law not that long ago. He says, oh, the house next door sold for such and such money. So when I die, you'll probably be able to sell this house for that much money, and that's what I'll leave you. And I just thought to myself, and I later told my husband, or you could come over to my house and play with my son. How about that? But to him, it's important to leave us stuff. Where for me, where my grandparents didn't have very much to give me, but they literally would give me anything that they had. All of their love and their experiences, my papa taking me to the ocean and going tide pooling and cooking with me and feeding me my favorite foods, and just that, it's like a foundational pillar in who I am. I don't know. It's weird. Passes. It's always encroaching on the present. Very interesting. I'm really sorry about that, Liberius, but my government's not doing an amazing job either. I'm not particularly proud of. I don't know if you guys know, I'm a veteran, and so I did swear an oath to uphold the Constitution. I still take very fucking seriously, and it kills me to think of some of the shit that we do. It just kills me. Just kills me. And that's part that when you have been considering how bad things have been for a while, like a lot of people of color have for a while, like, hey, things are bad. Police kill us. We live in poverty. There's not equal opportunities here. And then all of a sudden, this year, 4th of July is canceled because women have no rights. Oh my God, did you know that we have children in cages? I mean, yes, that's important too, but we've had them in cages for years now. And so maybe it wasn't really free before too. But I'm glad that you're here at the party. So let's work together to fix it. But that's the kind of performative shit that I can't take. I'm glad that you finally realized something is wrong, but the house has been burning for quite some time. So maybe you could help with the buckets. And just so you know, memes and social media posts are just thoughts and prayers. You have to do something. You have to vote. You have to volunteer. You have to educate yourself. You have to do something for fuck's sake and get off your goddamn computer, which is what I'm going to do here in a second. If you are handicapped or homebound, obviously, I'm not criticizing you. That's not what this is. And if you're new to the party and you just realize that shit's going south, I'm glad you're here. But for people who have massive followings on social media and who are benefiting from this kind of shit, it irks me to no end when you say stuff like that. Exactly, Liberius. If you can make somebody smile, if you can feel good about yourself, if you can just take any action that aligns with your values and makes the world a step closer to what you want, then you're doing the right thing. But it's probably not putting inflammatory memes on the internet. Just saying. Funny memes or heartwarming memes or content about animals, I want to see that. Also, food. I'm really into food videos right now. This baby wants to look at all the food, but will not let me eat any of it. Disrespectful. So, let's talk tomorrow. If I feel well enough, Lord knows I might not. Let's get through some of these things. I'll give you guys more of a sneak peek about what's coming up, what's going to be available soon. And then I would love your comments about things you'd like to talk about, things you'd like to cover, topics, concerns. If you have a problem with me, I love to hear it. I can't guarantee I'm going to do anything about it. I'm not promising I'm changing. But I can promise that to the best of my ability, this will be a good place that I hope gives you more than it takes. Anyway, I love you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, although I know everybody's name in the comments, so you've probably been here for years. And that's the way that I like it, because that is the community that I'm talking about, right? Anyways, I love you guys so much. Take care of yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. You probably did tons of magical spiritual shit today that you're not giving yourself credit for at all. You're doing great. You're doing the best. The world is on fire and you're still moving. I love you. I appreciate you. You're doing awesome. All right. Bye, guys.